This is a download from BFM 89.9, the business station.
It's time to raise your game. I'm Madeline Chua. Good morning. Now, Dr. Peter Chi is the President and CEO of the Institute of Training and Development, a leading multinational corporation for human resource development. With Dr. Chi's leadership contribution for over 26 years, ITD World has established itself as a global learning solutions expert. Now, Dr. Chi was the inventor of the coaching principles, the situational coaching model, and achievers coaching techniques. He is a leading certified trainer for Dr. John C. Maxwell programs and Zig Ziglar programs, and a certified master trainer for Dr. Jack Canfield programs. Now, he is the chief coach and developer of the Certified Coaching and Mentoring Professional program, which is fully recognized and approved by ICF, which is International Coaching Federation. Now, he works in close partnership with Dr. Jack Canfield, the world's leading success coach and authority on peak performance that holds the Guinness Book World of Records for the most books on the New York Times bestseller list, with 210 books and 125 million copies in print. Now, as a trainer and developer of leader and senior executives for more than 80 countries, Dr. Chi's training, coaching, consulting, and research experience resonate in the areas of personal excellence and success principles. He's here discussing about his latest book, Coaching for Breakthrough Success, which he co-authored with Dr. Jack Canfield. Dr. Peter, welcome to the show. Now, your latest book, Coaching for Breakthrough Success, which you co-authored with Dr. Jack Canfield, what are the techniques for making impossible's dream possible?
Hi, Adeline. It's good to be here with you. Well, techniques for making impossible dreams possible, there are 8 themes and, in actual fact, unlimited number of techniques that one can apply in coaching. Some examples of it would be how to help people to take responsibility for taking action to realize their dreams and goals. That will be one of the areas. The other one is building self-esteem, how to build motivation and deep inner self-esteem within a person that makes the person more confident and able to, achieve better results. And another one is removing roadblocks. How do we face problems and challenges in our lives, internal roadblocks and mental limiting beliefs and roadblocks that are outside of us? How do we overcome them? Mm-hmm. And if you look more in terms of a deeper aspect of a person's life, on a bigger picture, some techniques will lie in the area of helping people to realize their life purpose, their passion, why they are here in this world for. And other areas could be in the area of setting effective goals, how to help people set goals that are powerful and effective so that their chances of achieving them will be the highest. Another one could be using the law of attraction and visualization, how to use the power of your mind to attract those things that you want, to realize them faster. So within those major areas, there are lots of techniques which I will be very pleased to talk about, some of them.
Right. And what are those impossible dreams then?
Well, impossible dreams would be dreams and goals that we have set in our life that we have worked really hard towards and we have always wanted it, but it seems so difficult. There are so many obstacles and problems and roadblocks and people telling us that we can't do it, that a lot of people just simply, give up on it. But, people like Jack Canfield and myself, we have a lot of impossible dreams in our life, and the good thing is that through coaching people who cared for us and add value to us, we have been able to overcome all of these challenges and be able to realize our impossible dreams, and that's one of the reasons why we titled this book Coaching for Breakthrough Success, Techniques for Making Impossible Dreams Possible.
Well, so explain to us what exactly is coaching, how is it different from mentoring, and whether it is interchangeable with leaders?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I would share with you, coaching in a nutshell is actually the process of empowering people by drawing out the best solutions from them through listening to them, asking them great questions, providing feedback, appreciating, continuously supporting people to take ownership and be accountable for taking action to realize their goals. That, in a nutshell, is what coaching is. But essentially, if you look at crucial conversations that leaders have with their followers in the workplace, there are 5 major conversations, and the first one is very common, which is what I call bossing. Telling people what to do, giving instruction, don't do this, why did you make this mistake, things like that. The second one is what you mentioned just now, is actually mentoring. It's actually disseminating areas of expertise, knowledge, experience to teach and guide a person, and that really is mentoring. The third one will be actually coaching, coaching, which is a process of empowering people.
Okay.
Yeah, and fourth one is what I call counseling, which is pretty much more problem-centered, helping people to solve problems and letting them know clearly that, under no uncertain terms they have to resolve the matter. Otherwise, action will have to be taken. And the fifth one is what I call corrective action. These are the five major conversations that a leader has with his people. For me, in my 26 years of experience leading people, I've come across corrective action probably twice in my career. So obviously it's not used much. But what I can say is that among all of these five crucial conversations, the one that is most frequently used by great leaders is coaching.
Right.
Yeah.
But how can you describe when you said corrective action?
Corrective action is where you have to instill either punishment or take action against someone for doing something, wrong, very wrong, that will jeopardize their future and the future of the organization. Then you have no choice. You have to take corrective action.
Right.
If someone does something, dishonest, cheating, you have to take corrective action.
Right.
So, but if you apply coaching, then I tend to find that if you coach people well, you tend not to encounter that much problems in terms of having to get into counseling or corrective action, because coaching is far more proactive and preventive before things get that bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So can anyone become a coach?
Well, essentially, I would say coaching is a skill that anyone who has the heart to want to add value to people, they can actually pick up the skill, learn, practice, and can be a coach. I think skill is learnable.
But why do we need coaches?
Well, I would say coaches are really so essential because, no man or woman is an island. I don't think anyone stands alone facing the challenges and problems in life and their goals to achieve and their own bad habits and things, they need to deal with. I think if we have someone to take the journey with us and support us and care for us and really, really want to make a difference for us, I think that's going to make a huge difference. Yeah, I would think for me, through my life, I've had many people who have coached me and I would attribute achieving most of my goals to people who have helped me and coached me.
Well, the journey is always better with great company, right?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So was coaching once your impossible dream?
Well, yeah, I had a lot of impossible dreams in my life, and it is through coaching and partly mentoring as well, but predominantly coaching, which has helped me to achieve my impossible dreams. I mean, when I said that I wanted to write 3 books with 3 of the most famous gurus and authors, I mean, everyone said, "Hey, you got to be kidding! This is not possible. There's no Asian that has written any book with the most famous gurus in the world, and you can't do it. You're just dreaming." But then the fact is that with passion and with commitment, with unceasing motivation and determination to do it, and people who coached me to not give up and continue to press on and find a solution, I finally made it. But it took me 5 years.
Wow.
But that's why when I realized this dream, getting this book out with Jack Canfield, the impossible dream there has got a lot of meaning for me. Yeah, it's got a lot of meaning.
So now that you've been coaching for over 20 years, what are the common problems do you face as a coach?
Yeah, I would say, working with coaches globally, I found one of the biggest mistakes they make is the misconception of what coaching is. Some of them think coaching is instructing or mentoring, and basically they get into a mode of giving advice, telling people what to do, instructing, or even in the worst case, going back to the bossing approach. And that really is not coaching. The other mistake is that when coaches tend to coach people whom they don't know well or very close to them, they tend to make assumptions and judgments on people where it really doesn't help much in empowering them or bringing out the best in them. And the other thing I found is that people who don't listen from the heart, people who just want to talk and they're not really there to listen and to bring out the best in people, they don't make great coaches. Finally, I would say it's the greatest mistake I find in coaches is that they have not sufficiently built the skill of asking great questions, and that's why they
most important.
They could not bring out the best in people. I would say the most important skill that is lacking among most coaches I find is that ability to ask great questions. Yeah, I think that's really crucial.
And on that note, Dr. Peter Chi, co-author with Dr. Jack Canfield on their latest book, Coaching for Breakthrough Success. After this, we will discover more on the mind and energy of Coach. Raise Your Game, BFM 89.9. You've been listening to Raise Your Game. This is Adeline Chua. Good morning. Now, in case you've just joined us, I've been speaking with Dr. Peter Chi, CEO of ITD World, a leading certified trainer for Dr. John C. Maxwell programs and Zig Ziglar programs. We're discussing about his latest book, Coaching for Breakthrough Breakthrough Success, which he co-authored with Dr. Jack Canfield. Now, earlier on, we spoke about the key principles for coaching and what it briefly means. You mentioned that coaching is a process and not so much content. You also mentioned that, most coaches, what they lack generally in coaching is when they fail to ask the right questions. So, the second part of the book covers the situational coaching model, which symbolizes the mind of coach. So what are the 6 crucial coaching paradigms?
In the mind of a coach is where you focus on in the area when you are in a conversation in coaching, because coaching is really a conversation. Now, in the 6 paradigms, to help you to kind of easily recall this, is just to remind yourself that coaching is actually to gear people up for making the right decisions and taking action. So if people are geared up to make the right decisions and they take action, they will get the results. So GEARDA, so geared, that represents the 6 paradigms. So the first one is G, is goals. So this is where you actually talk to the person in a conversation to really focus on refining their goals, making that their goals are effective and the goals are clear enough that they know what it is and they are motivated to pursue those goals. The second paradigm is what I call exploration paradigm. This is where you begin to explore all possibilities, like think out of the box technique, where you can begin to look at various possible ideas and solutions that they may not have thought of before. So basically you want to ask questions from different angles to really unleash their creativity in that kind of paradigm. There's no bad ideas. All ideas are possibilities, and there are no bad ideas at this point. And then after that, you move into the third paradigm, where it talks about analysis. In the analysis paradigm, you actually go deeper and you begin to analyze, among all of these great ideas that you have generated, which are the most important ones, which are the best ideas that if you put into action, you will begin to see great results.
Okay.
So you begin to look at them closely, analyze them deeply. And then the fourth paradigm is called releasing paradigm. This is where you talk about emotions. A very important part of being human is actually our emotions, because it is emotions that move people to motion. So in that sense, if people feel down, depressed, disheartened, it begin to move them in taking action in the wrong direction, doing things that they regret. But whereas if people have emotions of love, care, motivation, positive thinking, and all of that, begins to empower them to do more and achieve more and take more risks.
Pushes them.
So in the releasing paradigm, this is where you begin to ask people about their emotions, and inevitably every time when people face problems and issues, they will always come up with problems, complaints, and anxieties, where they will begin to release all of that. And this paradigm more or less has got its therapeutic effects, although coaching is not therapy, but then you, at the end, when people release their emotions, they begin to start feeling better, as someone really understands them. And that's where you begin to shift them into asking them, how would you rather feel, what emotions would get you to achieve the results that you want to achieve. And suddenly, as they begin to talk about it, they start feeling more powerful and more empowered to be able to do more and achieve more.
Right.
Yeah. And then finally, you get into the last 2 paradigms. The D is decision, where decisions need to be made.
Okay.
After all of these things that we talk about, what decision are you going to make? Which path are you going to take? Towards realizing your goal and your dream. And once that is made and good decisions are made, then finally it's about designing action. So the final paradigm is the action paradigm, where you talk with your coachee about what they will do, when they will do it, what's their commitment to do it, who will support them in terms of getting it done, what kind of system would you put in place to measure your progress, and things like that, moving into action to get results. So essentially there are these 6 paradigms, and the reason why it's situational coaching is because these paradigms are not used in any particular sequence.
Okay.
As a genius coach, you need to know the situation and the needs of your clients and be able to seamlessly, smoothly shift from one paradigm to another.
Right.
Yeah.
And from what I gathered, although you said, it's not therapy, but I can see why it can be quite therapeutic after talking about it and going through the entire process of coaching.
Yes, it really uplifts a person. Coaching is a empowering process that really uplifts a person. Yeah.
So, the third part consists of 8 themes of achievers coaching techniques. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about this, and how is the energy of coaching different from the heart?
Well, actually, the heart of coaching is in the Coaching for Breakthrough Success meta model. The heart is actually all of those 30 principles that we could talk about a bit afterwards if you like. But that's really about the values, the beliefs, and the principles behind what coaching really is. Whereas the mind is really more of the the situational coaching conversation itself, the paradigms that you use to focus on in during the coaching conversation. Whereas energy is more of proven techniques that are used by coaches to get great results and breakthrough results. So in actual fact, all works in harmony together. For a human body to function well, you need to have the heart, the mind, and the body, the energy, to be able to achieve results.
So, you also mentioned something which is very interesting, which is called flip switching technique. Tell us more about this.
Flip switching technique is a technique where there's a process involved and questions to ask. And in following with the true philosophy of coaching, not telling and giving solutions, basically you provide a process and the content is filled in by the coachee. So you basically ask questions.
Okay.
So flip switching technique, let me just explain to you the process and let you know how it works and the kind of questions you would ask. So the first part is actually, asking the clients, what are the things that you really love most about yourself? And then they will list down, it could be several things, like for example, I love about myself, about, my ability to, connect with people, to make friends. I love about myself, perhaps my ability to influence people, and, maybe my ability to sing, or, to some kind of thing that you really do well, that you feel people appreciate you for. So at the end, and then you move on to the second part of it, where you ask them, what will be one of those things that you love about yourself that will give you the strongest positive emotion, feeling of love for yourself. And then you ask the person, would you visualize it clearly to see how you feel, what kind of feeling, and do a gesture to help remind you of this feeling that you really love yourself. The gesture could be anything. It could be clench your fist, or put your hand on your heart, or put your hand together like in a praying hand, or anything like that, just to remind you of this feeling that you can create whenever you want it. So this technique has really had amazing results with a lot of people. I mean, you got to use the right technique with the right person at the right time. I mean, I'll give you a story. I had a business development manager, and she had an issue. She was not performing well. She didn't have many friends or connections. So obviously, in business development, for you to get more business, you need to be connected with a lot of people, because your network determines your net worth and how well you do.
Absolutely.
So the problem she had is that she found it difficult to build long-lasting, deep relationships with people. So as I went through the coaching with her, talking to her, she began to realize that it was how she grew up, her childhood, and this pattern that is inside her about feeling of rejection and not being loved, and that begins to build up a wall blocking her from connecting with people. And then she was able to connect with how she grew up, where her parents were not getting well along with each other, and they separated, and she was left with living with her auntie, and she felt no love at all. So she was kind of like in a state of rejection. So as she grew up, this pattern was inside her. So later on, when she graduated and did very well in her studies and got a good job, she became a manager in business development, but she had problems getting sustainable results.
Okay.
So she used a flip switching technique where, every time she wants to go out and connect and meet people, she would have this wall coming up, this fear, this feeling of rejection that blocks her. She would do a flip switching technique. She would imagine what she loves about herself. And in her case, she was a really brilliant person and attractive, so she just feels that people love her and appreciate her for what she is. And then she would go out there and connect with people, or after 30 days she was able to really overcome this pattern, and she was able to get great connections and increase her business.
From what I gather, this is very simple, but it's also a very powerful technique.
Yes indeed.
So among the heart, mind, and energy of a coach, which of these are most important?
I would say they all have to work together in harmony to be able to get great results in coaching, because the heart is about the beliefs, the principles, the values behind what really coaching is. The mind is really about knowing how to steer and navigate a conversation given different situations, and energy is really the techniques that you would use, just like this flip switching technique as an example, that you help people achieve certain breakthroughs in getting their goals. So they all have to kind of work together. But if you ask me what is the single most important skill, I would say I find working with people who want to be great coaches, the single most important skill is the ability to ask great questions. And that's what's lacking among most coaches. To actually be able to ask great questions, you actually need to look at example of great questions, practice them, and then reflect on them each time you use it, so that over time you become really good at asking the right questions at the right time to the right person for the right purpose. One question could be, for example, I ask you, maybe Adeline, you have your big dreams and goals that you want to achieve in your life, and so far, some of them have still not been realized yet. Now, assuming you have all the resources you need and you couldn't fail, what would you do? That will be an example of a question. Another one could be, after you have identified all of these solutions, would you share with me, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your level of motivation to pursue this goal or dream? Okay. Maybe another question could be, would you reflect and think about, when you come to the end of your journey in this world, what story would you tell others about your greatest contribution? So if you answer that question, then I would ask you to come back to the present moment and see what you're doing to get on track towards going to that end that you have in mind. Yeah, so these are examples of questions. If you ask them at the right time to the right person, it will get great results.
You know, Dr. Peter, the questions that you just gave as an example are also the questions being asked in a company evaluation.
Yeah, they do.
So, are there any final words?
I would like to say that actually coaching is helping people to gain self-mastery. It's bringing out the best in people and letting them lead. So as a coach, basically, you provide a process, but when it comes to the content, the solutions, the agenda, the actions to be taken, you basically let your coaches lead. Okay. And this, I would say, echoed in the words of Thomas J. Watson, who was the founder, chairman of IBM. He said, nothing so conclusively proves a man's ability to lead others than what he does from day to day to lead himself. So coaching is actually helping people to actually lead themselves, and therefore through that process they gain self-mastery. So it's way different from teaching or mentoring or instructing. It's about bringing out the best in people, listening to them, asking them great questions, giving them feedback, continuously supporting them and making them accountable to take actions to get results that they want to achieve. And what I found is that coaching is been one of the most rewarding and inspiring work of a lifetime. Once you become a great coach, you will want to continue on this journey, because the kind of fulfillment that it brings you out of coaching people is what I would really say money cannot buy. Is really what happiness is, that when you're able to make a difference in people's lives.
Dr. Peter Chi, co-author of Coaching for Breakthrough Success with Dr. Jack Canfield. You've been listening to Raise Your Game. I'm Adeline Chua, BFM 89.9.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To find more great interviews, go to bfm.my or find us on iTunes. BFM 89.9, the business station.